Revolutionary War history is coming to life at one of Charleston's most iconic homes. The Charleston Museum has unveiled a new audio tour at the Heyward-Washington House, giving visitors a deeper, more personal look at the stories and people behind America's fight for independence. Here with the details is Borick, director of the Charleston Museum. Carl, great to have you here with us today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So this is the newest audio tour at the Heyward-Washington House, and there's one other, so there's two in total.
Correct.
Wonderful.
We've had a tour in place for about 3 years now that talks about the general history of the house, the architecture, some of the artifacts in the house, but this is specifically focused on the Revolutionary War aspects of the house.
So give us an overview of what people can expect.
Sure. So the house, it was the townhouse of Thomas Heyward, and so he's one of the 4 South Carolina signers of the Declaration of Independence. But he's also a soldier, served in the Charlestown Battalion of Artillery, so he was in the Siege of Charleston, he was at the Battle of Port Royal. So he's got a lot of background related to the Revolutionary War. But his wife also was a very solid patriot, and when he was captured and sent to St. Augustine, Florida, she was in the house and defied the British when they asked her to decorate the windows with candles after a British victory. So there's associations with both Thomas Heyward and his wife Betsy Heyward. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that answered my next question, kind of what pushed you guys to bring this tour to the Heyward-Washington House. I mean, you answered it right there, but why now?
So the house has been owned by the museum since 1929. It's been open to the public. It was the first house museum in Charleston, and really in the state, first house museum in the state that was ever open. And but next year is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Some folks may have seen that there was recently had the 250th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord. So it's going to be a big anniversary for our country, for our state, for the Heyward-Washington House, for the Charleston Museum, because this is one of the there's one other home that's open to the public. Arthur Middleton's home, Middleton Place, is open to the public of a South Carolina signer. So it's going to be a great opportunity to promote the house, great opportunity for people to come learn about Revolutionary War history, and so that's kind of what drove us to create this audio tour.
And there's 9 stops in total. Do you have a favorite stop?
Well, the kitchen building itself is pretty cool. So the kitchen building, it gives us the opportunity to talk about the enslaved people that lived on the property. Thomas Heyward, he was a very wealthy man. He wouldn't have gotten that wealth without the use of enslaved labor at his rice plantation down near Beaufort. But he also had enslaved that were at the Heyward House itself on Church Street. And so that's where the kitchen building, it retains its original function. It hasn't been modified in any way since the 1770s when it was built. And so that gives us an opportunity to talk about the role of enslaved people during the Revolutionary War, show us the quarters where they would have prepared meals, where they would have prepped food, where they would have, and then the second floor of the building, which isn't open to the public, is where their quarters would have been. Okay.
And in addition to the stops, there's also artifacts in a few of them. Can you talk about a few of the artifacts that people can see?
Sure, absolutely. Probably one of the coolest pieces in the house that folks will see related to the Revolutionary War is a portrait of Christopher Gadsden that was done by Jeremiah Theus, who was a famous portrait painter in Charleston in the 1770s. And so Gadsden was the head of the local Sons of Liberty, and very radical when it came to the Revolutionary War, and very defiant towards the British. In fact, when he also was sent down to St. Augustine, he refused, I think, to sign a parole document, so they put him in solitary confinement. So anyway, his portrait is in the house. Yeah. We also have, it's pre-Revolutionary War, but the kind of the most famous piece of colonial furniture, which is the Holmes bookcase, which is in the same room as the Christopher Gadsden portrait. Yeah.
Even for returning visitors, I mean, this Revolutionary War audio tour is going to deepen the experience so much more. I'm so excited it's there, and especially with his involvement in the Revolutionary War. You do walking tours occasionally.
Occasionally.
Okay, so what do those consist of?
So twice a year, I'll do a tour of the Revolutionary War siege lines in downtown Charleston. You know, people, if you walk around the streets of Charleston, it's very much an urban area. You don't think that a battle was fought there, but actually, the largest battle in South Carolina was fought there in 1780 when the British besieged the city. So we just did one a couple weeks ago. We're probably going to schedule another one for this October.
Wonderful. And all that information we can find on charlestonmuseum.org?
Correct.
Wonderful. And these audio tours are a part of the standard ticket with the Heyward-Washington House?
Correct. If you buy a ticket, you can choose the standard tour, and which focuses, again, on the architecture and some of the furniture in the house, or you can take the Revolutionary War tour, which focuses on the aspects related to the Revolution. Yes.
This is so exciting. And also, is there any other Revolutionary War programming that you guys plan to bring to the museum in the near future?
So we have a major exhibit coming up next year during the actual 250th anniversary, starting at the end of January of 2026.
Yeah.
We've got some great pieces from our own collection, but we're also going to be bringing in things on loan from Revolutionary War battlefields across the state, things that were found in archaeological projects across the state, such as Camden, 96, Utah Springs, those places, yes.
January 2026 sounds so far away, but it's really right around the corner.
It will be here before we know it.
It's hard to believe. Carl, thank you so much. CharlestonMuseum.org is where you can go for all that wonderful information. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Taylor.
We're back in 2 minutes.